Hello and welcome to this week's R.O.Y.S episode. And this week we have an exciting topic for you. But before we get to the topic, I just want to say a big thank you to all of our subscribers. We've seen a lot of traffic into this YouTube channel where we build one another as young people, and we are here to encourage you. So thank you so much for subscribing. If you're watching and you might not have subscribed, please click the subscribe button right there, so that you can be notified every single time that we upload, and so that we can move together. This week, we are talking about a topic called a wasted year. So it's a question. Is it really a wasted year? Many people are talking about, especially in our country, Kenya, that this whole year is a wasted year. That young people, we are not going to school. We are going to repeat the year we were. If you're in Form 4, you're going back to Form 4. If you're in Form 3, and the likes. So I'm just asking myself and asking you, do you really think it's a wasted year? Or what do you think? Tell us in the comments. We want to hear from you, even as we share a few things about this time. But for me today, I'm here just to encourage you. For me, I do not think it is a wasted year. Why? Because as long as that second hand is going round in your clock, nothing is wasted. Time is still moving. So I think the choice is upon myself and you to decide whether this year will be wasted for you or for me as individuals or not. I know of young people who are continuing with their lessons with their teachers, not necessarily their own teachers, but their teachers who are teaching their students still until this time. Their school is going on. They're doing it via Zoom. Now, I definitely understand there are people who cannot afford Zoom, cannot afford the internet packages, and they do not even have the facilities for online learning. But there are things you can learn offline that can also help. I'll give you an example of one of our very own members here at the R.O.Y.S, a young person. He completed his Form 4 education last year, but he started an agricultural activity, pig farming, when he was in Form 3, just like you. And by the time he was finishing Form 4, and right now he's selling those pigs for a very good profit that I don't think I have the liberty to mention, but for someone of that age, that's very good money. And they started when they were in high school, like you. So you can decide. Some of you, your parents have chicken at home, have goats at home, have cows. There's always something, or a shamba, that you can do out there that will not waste your years. But other than that challenge, today I'm here to encourage you with 3 Bible characters who I have looked into, and I'm here to tell you that God is a God who helps us to recover the time that looks like it has been wasted. Remember, God does not operate in the times that we operate in. For him, he operates in eternity. So that's why one day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years like one day. How can that be? Because time does not limit God. He can do anything at any time. He can prosper you no matter if this year you have not been in school. I'll start with the first person. This one wasn't a young person. His name is Elijah. Elijah was a prophet. And you remember during the Mount Carmel contest, that is in 1 Kings chapter 18, when he went and he slayed the what are they called? The prophets of Baal after the Mount Carmel contest. And he said that the God who answers by fire is a true God. And our God definitely answered by fire. And after that, he went and killed the 450 prophets and prophetesses of Baal. He went up and prayed for the rains to come. Remember, it had not rained for 3.5 years at that point. After that, when his servant told him that there's a small cloud the size of a man's hand coming from the east or from whichever direction, he told the servant to run and tell Ahab that the rain is coming, that he should prepare his chariots and rush to the city so that the rain does not block him. The servant did that, and Ahab and his chariots had a head start. Now, after Elijah finished what he was doing on the mountain, Ahab is already going with his horses. The Bible says that the hand of the Lord, that is in verse 46, the hand of the Lord came upon Elijah. And he ran and he overtook Ahab and his chariots, and he reached the city before Ahab. How can that be? Someone on a chariot with horses, and you are just running. and you run, and he has a head start, and you still run and go ahead of him. Because God does not operate in the confines of scientific principles. He can surpass them for his own glory. And he did it for Elijah. He overtook Ahab, even if he had chariots. So God can help you restore the time that has been lost during this year. The second character is a young person like us. That is Joseph. We've talked a lot about Joseph until young people, when we hear Joseph or David, we roll our eyes. But today I have something that maybe you have not considered about this character during the time when he was in Egypt. When he was sold by his brothers, remember he went, Potiphar, his first master, really liked him. His wife spoiled everything, so he went to jail. And then one day he was seated with the cupbearer and the baker of the king, who were also in jail. He interpreted their dreams for them, and their dreams came true. Now the cupbearer was restored to his position by the king, and Joseph told him, when you go out there and the king restores you, don't forget me. But the cupbearer forgot him for 2 years. Now after 2 years, the Pharaoh now, the king of Egypt, got a dream about the 7 healthy cows and the 7 thin cows, and the thin cows ate up the healthy cows. The next day he had another dream of heads of wheat, very good, 7 of them, very healthy, and then the 7 thin ones choked the good heads of wheat. So he called his wise men and these sorcerers of Egypt just to come and to interpret these dreams for him. None of them could. The cupbearer immediately remembered Joseph, and he said, oh, I remember my transgression. I didn't remember this young man who had told me to remember him. So he told the king, this young man interpreted our dreams to the latter. This is the person to call. So the king called for Joseph. After staying in prison for all of those years, in one day, Joseph shaved his head, he cleaned up, he was given new clothes, and he came before the king. He interpreted the dream. Of course, we know it was about the 7 years of drought and the 7 years of good harvests. And that is when, immediately after he interpreted the dream, in 1 second, Joseph went from a prisoner and he became a what? The prime minister, second in command to the king. In one step. Someone says that one moment of favor with God is of more value than 1,000 years of human effort. One more character for you guys, and that is David. Also a very young man. I think by the time he was being anointed, he was 12 years old. Some of us are 12 years. We're not even teenagers yet. But in 1 Samuel chapter 17, from verse 17, we read about how David was sent by his father Jesse to take food and supplies to his brothers at war. And that is when Goliath, who was the champion of the Philistines, came to challenge the armies of the living God. And David was just passing by, and he heard what Goliath was saying. And he said that he is going to fight him. Now, before we continue, there's a very good video of someone, 2 people called Sergio and Rhoda. They went to the valley of Elah, where this contest between David and Goliath happened. And they were testing whether if you are inside the valley, if you can call to the person on that other side, that other mountain, whether they can hear you. And it is incredible. You have to see the video. The link is in the description box. And so David went, and he had left the sheep of his father Jesse with a keeper of the sheep, so that he could go and take the supplies to his brothers. He didn't return after he fought Goliath and was victorious and cut off his head and brought the head back to King Saul, and the Philistines ran away. The Israelites ran after them and conquered them, up to a place called Ekron, if I'm not wrong. And after that, King Saul didn't let go of David. He was his right-hand man until they came back to the city. And when they came back to the city, the women were singing for David, oh, Saul has killed his thousands, but David his 10,000s. And so David became the sweetheart of everybody in Israel. But it was in one moment, God changed the status of David from just a small shepherd boy forgotten. Even when the prophet was coming, his father didn't even remember he existed, until the right-hand man of the king who later became the king of Israel. So what am I saying? That it only takes one moment. When you are with God, you don't have to worry. Time is not an issue. As long as you're using your time appropriately, God will help you recover the time that you have lost. And even the time that you think you are losing, He's working on you to become a better person. By the time you're emerging on the other side, you are better than you were before. I'm going to leave you with one story of myself. Back when I was in the university, because of going around to visit you guys in your schools, which I love doing so much, interacting with you, seeing you and your talents and helping you out where you need our help, I wasn't getting enough time to be in school because I was in school in Nairobi. And so I had to, if we are going to Baringo High School or to Kabimoi Boys High School, where we have been before, I would go there from Nairobi to there, and I would have to go back for classes in Nairobi. And in between, I would also produce the program of the R.O.Y.S. So it was not your typical student campus life, but I was content in my heart. So when I went back to school every time, I would be either extremely tired or extremely confused where to study if we had a cut or an exam. But I remember I used to pray to God, Lord, because I've not wasted my time, I've used my time well in helping others and in doing your work, I pray that you will help me in my exams. Show me where to study so that what I study is what will come, at least so that I do not fail my examinations. And I can tell you the truth. My group members and myself, Sandra, Monique, and Jackie, we used to have group discussions. And those group discussions, we used to invest in past papers of the university, our course. And those papers, exactly the questions on those papers were the ones that used to come in the exam. So the ones we pay attention to were number 1 to number 5. Every time. And that is how I graduated without delay. I didn't retake any unit, even if I used to spend only 3 days in a week in school. And eventually I graduated with a second class honors, upper division, and that is equivalent to, let's say, an A- in your KCSE examinations. And that is all by the grace of God, because I wasn't studying as much as everybody else. I didn't do so many special things, but I always prayed to God to help me to recover the time that I was using to do something else that was constructive. After I graduated in December, by the end of January, I was called for a job somewhere in Nairobi, a very nice place to work in. Why? Because I was using my time, the time that people thought I was wasting, God was using to mold me. That job I got only because of the work I used to do for the R.O.Y.S. And that is why I'm very grateful to God for all of you who are watching and for all the people that we have interacted with. Iron sharpens iron, and I thank you that you are here. So what am I saying, young people? Be encouraged. God can help you leap from where you are to where He needs you to be. It doesn't matter what it seems like the time is over. It is not. Trust in God. Use your time well when you are at home. Emerge better than you were before, and make sure you learn something new in these months that are remaining. Thank you for being with us today. I have been Grace Michere, your host, and I will see you next week for another episode of the R.O.Y.S. Stay with us, share with your friends, let them also be encouraged with what we talk about. We love to hear from you. Comment, like, and share with your friends as well. And remember to subscribe. Click the notification bell so that you can be notified every single time that we post a new video. God bless you. I will see you next week. Bye-bye.